Welcome to another episode of the Say Hey Jax podcast. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe on Instagram, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere you listen. All right, we are back with another episode of Say Hey Jax. I'm Jan. I go by Sunny. And today we are interviewing our new friend, Nikki. And so Nikki is phenomenal. You're really going to enjoy talking with her and hearing about her. But I'm not going to talk too much in the beginning. I'm just going to let Nikki speak for herself. So Nikki, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful. Glad to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much. We know that you're a busy woman about town, so we really appreciate you being here today.
Of course,
It's
a
a
pleasure.
lot. So I want to get right into it. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, where are you from? Like, why'd you come to Jacksonville?
Okay, awesome. I'm from the DMV area, so that's the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. Grew up in Fort Washington, Maryland, and actually raised my 22-year-old daughter in Columbia, Maryland, so further north of Maryland. I'm from Southern Maryland. So after time has gone on, I realized that I wanted to explore other parts of the country. So I always knew that as my daughter got older, but I didn't know where the first place that I would land would be.
Right.
And so it literally just happened this simply. My daughter went on a college tour at Jacksonville University in 2000. Last year, the spring of last year, and loved it, fell in love with it, and said that she, no matter what, whether she got in or not, she wanted to live in Jacksonville. Yes. And so at that time, I was going to Atlanta. I was going to move to Atlanta, and she was going to come to Jacksonville, but things changed. It's amazing how God works. And it kind of pushed us together and made it so that we both moved to Jacksonville together. So here we are.
So good. Okay, so now I have to ask, what did she like so much about Jacksonville?
Whew, that's such a good question. She went on and on. Oh my God. So my daughter is an extreme introvert. Okay. I consider myself an introvert, but she's steps like beyond me. And she, I'll say this, she likes people, but she's at times doesn't really know how to relate with the masses of people. Like,
okay. I get it. I get it.
Okay. I'm trying to word that really. Choose my words well, but that's the best way to describe her, right? And so big city and things like that, I've noticed that she kind of like will draw into her shell. And unfortunately, that led her to actually depend too much on the little small circle of friends that she had, and which aren't always good influences. So long story short, it was exposed that the connections that she had were not great ideas and wasn't great choices, and left her very vulnerable and lonely. Yeah. So why Jacksonville stood out to her is being here, she just felt such a sense of peace compared to the hustle and bustle and the energy that's associated with that. And so when I say energy, I don't mean woo-woo, all right? What I mean literally is the way that an environment can make you feel by the expectations, by the attitudes, by the culture, by the pressures of social dynamics and things like that. That's typical of large cities. And coming here, that short stay that she was here, just one weekend, went to the beach, fell in love, just walking around. People were so nice. She was just like, Mommy, I've never experienced anything.
I love it.
Yes.
It's so good.
And so instantly, sight unseen, I was like, okay, that's where we're going to go. And I never visited Jacksonville until the day that we moved in. So,
wow.
Yep.
What do you think of Jacksonville now that you are here?
Good question. I love it. No, honestly, I fell in love with it. I trusted my daughter. I know we have similar expectations of, our surroundings and our environment. And Jacksonville delivered on everything that she said. Like, we're both introverts, so we don't really need that. We don't really need that. And I think myself, just speaking for myself, I know how to go out there and kind of find stuff. Like, even if I was in a rural community, I think I will be able to figure it out and just connect with people and stuff. So that's what Jacksonville has done for me. It's quiet, it's chill, but at the same time, I feel like if you really look, you can find whatever it is you're looking for.
Very nice. Okay, so Nick, I'm going to get in your business a little bit. Can you tell us, like, what is it that you do for a living?
Of course, I am a dating preparation coach. And when I say that, people are like, wait, what?
What do they say? Hallelujah.
Right. Well, that too. It's a wide range of responses. But yes, I work with single professional women that have checked out of dating, or maybe most recently they've tried to stick a little toe in there and have had not so great experiences, or at least the experiences don't line up to the standards they have for themselves. And so we work on things like self-development, social development, just things to create an environment and a space where connecting to someone that makes sense for you is more possible.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. That is amazing. And
Thank
so
you.
do you have clients? Are you building a clientele in Jacksonville, or would you say that your clientele is like still more national?
That's a good question. That's one of the things that prompted me to be excited about moving outside of the DMV, is because I had no choice. I had to develop my business to be virtual. So most of my clients, even when I was in Maryland, were all over the country, thank God. But the reason why I did that was because, you know, the saying goes, you don't get a lot of love in your hometown, you know. You know, yeah. And it isn't anything other than people knowing you and being familiar with you, and it's just like, nah, who do you think you are, kind of energy. But I'm so glad that I didn't let that deter me, and you know, allowed myself to still grow and experiment and meet new people and things like that. And so I plan on making more connections here in Jacksonville for sure. We literally were talking about this myself and one of my clients who also is volunteering to do some work with me. She and I were talking this morning, and we got some plans for some events.
Yes.
Some in-person events that I'm super excited about. So
Love it.
Looking forward to it. Prepare to be Pursued is the name of the company. So we're really going to launch a few things now. So workshops.
Okay.
And then also retreats.
All right.
And then I also have something called a VIP day where we go out and hang out together, and I help you get acclimated, especially introverts. Help you get acclimated in social settings so that you're not a nervous wreck, and you can also walk away guaranteed with some great connections.
There's a guarantee.
Yeah.
There's a guarantee. Prepare to be pursued.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So
Love
fun stuff.
it. What else are you involved in Jacksonville?
Yeah. So just one of the major things that I wanted to get involved in was a church. And so, you know, I was able to find that Elevation Church has watch parties. And so that was really amazing because I went to in-person church here and I had an amazing experience. You never really walk away from church empty. So I was impacted, but I just felt as I was walking away like, wow, it would have been nice. Are they still doing this? What they would have? I know when I was growing up, even though I was I was raised Roman Catholic. My parents are Nigerian, so I was raised in the Roman Catholic. So even in the Catholic church, they had community afterwards. Like after Sunday, you go in there and they got little pieces of cake and little juice. You know, at least it's a place where you just see the other kids. And if you have Sunday school, you meet your parents there. They go to church and you go to Sunday school. And you'll meet there, and there was just a sense of community, and they will also have like, you know, just fun things like little carnivals and stuff like that. I don't know. So after having a couple experiences in in-person church here, just everybody just shuffled out, and that's normal, right? That's what normally happens, but I felt empty because I'm new. So I really, really desperately wanted to connect. And I didn't know how to do that. Like it just randomly walk up on a family. So, you know, so like, hey, you want to be friends? Like, get out of here.
Right.
So instead I was like, okay, maybe I could connect with Christian groups through Meetup, and then inquire about their churches. And then if they invite me, then I'll have a sense of community that way. So one of the things I did, I found something called like a nature walk, a prayer nature walk. So in along St. John's River, there's like there's several parks, but there's like a trail. And so that particular group was a trail, and then we prayed and read the word a little bit, and then walked and communed. That was really nice. Yes. And so also with that, I found your Meetup, and in that it was watch party, and I was like, oh my God, this is perfect. It was literally exactly what I prayed for. You have no idea. Literally so just prayed for.
I love that.
It was exactly what I needed. And as an introvert like myself, it was low pressure because it was at first, I could attend virtually and get the vibe and see, how people are, if you're welcoming, if you're okay with outsiders coming in, and it was so much that it was that and more. So I just thank you and everyone that attends for being so welcoming, and it was great. And so, yes, I've been pretty much doing that ever since.
Yes. Yeah. And we also have the virtual parking lot after the service.
Yes.
So we just talk and talk. You can get off when you want to, but we usually talk for about an hour. Yes. But Nikki's been such a wonderful addition to our group. Yes. Wonderful. And so what kind of, I would say you come from the DMV area, right?
Yes.
And so I'm sure that you did have community here or there already. So here, going forward, how would you tell people when they're coming to Jacksonville, what's the best way for them to start thinking about building community?
You have to be proactive. You have to, and I would think that's the same with any city. I'm really interested because of the work that I do. Many times women come to me when they're in a place of, oh my God, I'm in a new place, I got a new job, I moved to a new city, I'm in a new area, my kids are out the house, so finally I can try to get to know my neighbors. It's like a new transition they're dealing with, right? And so in that, you find yourself in a weird spot where it's like, what do I do now? How do I connect? It's not as easy as it was, when I was in my 20s. What's going on here? And the great thing about that, even though it sounds really like dismal, but the great thing about that is you're not alone. There's so much research out there supporting, unfortunately, where we're going as a society, just as human beings, and this is a global thing, and it's even worse in large cities. So it doesn't matter how many people are around you. Doesn't matter. People are lonely. People are disconnected. People are yearning for true connection. However, there could be a difficulty on how to do that. And trust is factors into that a lot. And so the bottom line is you have to be proactive, and you have to really spend time getting to know yourself, get to know what you like, don't like, what type of people you truly can and should connect with. A lot of times it is personality clashes or viewpoint clashes, or it's just, and it could shut someone down. I know I regularly kind of talk my daughter through some of these things because just sometimes it's easy to make blanket statements. Well, I knew she was going to do that. It's easy to come up with these blanket statements, but it's really is. It's just that person's personality. It doesn't mean everyone's like that. So I would say come up with clear understanding of what you like and what you really don't like. And you don't have to do things that you don't enjoy doing. Unless you're really trying to challenge yourself to overcome a fear or something like that. But allow yourself, just give yourself permission to do some things that might be uncomfortable, but can have a huge payoff. So you got to be intentional.
That is phenomenal. I will tell you, last week, I had an interview with my friend Kate, who is from New Hampshire originally. And we were talking about a visit that I had to Publix, and the cashier I felt was rude. And she was like, Shannon, it might not be rude.
Mm.
Like that is culture, that's coming from, because I was just like, that person was obviously a
Mm.
northerner, whatever, because, I'm from South Carolina. So, and she was just like, yeah, but that's not necessarily rudeness.
Mm.
That just might be disposition,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Big time culture does factor into that, and it kind of like I mentioned earlier led to the reason why Nikki and I are here. I
Mm-hmm.
felt for a very long time, actually, as Nikki was getting older and I was counting down the years until I could get out of
Right.
the Navy, I started realizing, because I'll travel for work and stuff, so you get around,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just like, wow, everywhere is not the same.
Yeah.
Like, I
Mm-hmm.
really truly feel like states have their own personality.
Oh, for sure.
Cities have their own
Mm-hmm.
personality, and it's okay for you to be like, you know what, this place doesn't fit my personality. It's an ongoing struggle. I feel like I'm have to be someone else in order to make a friend or get connected or get a break, catch a break, and it's okay.
Yep.
To come to that realization.
Yeah.
And then you just gotta ask yourself what you want to do about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really good. That's very proactive.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you've been here, you haven't just under a year, right? Something
Yes.
like
So October.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure that you've heard like some of the buzz, or like positive or negative, about Jacksonville. What are some of the challenges you think Jacksonville faces?
So I got the download scoop from a few folks that I've met along the way, and it's interesting. A lot of folks say the same thing over and over again. It's like, oh my God, that's what I just heard. But the main thing that I hear over and over again is that Jacksonville is wildly territorial. That's what I heard. I was like, what that mean? Because I would get in my car and go anywhere. Like, what's wrong? I don't look like I'm supposed to be here. I don't know. That's your problem, not mine. I'm already here. So what we gonna do? So that's my personality. So when I heard that, I was just like, oh, okay. I don't know yet how to overcome that, or if I should be concerned, or what the deal is. But I've heard that, like, even different ethnicities have told me that. So it's just like, oh my God, like people in certain parts of Jacksonville just don't leave that part.
They don't leave. That's one of the things that I learned too when I first got here, was at work. They were like, oh no, if you're at the beach, you stay at the beach. If you north side, you stay at the north. Like, yeah.
Oh, so yes, that's a major thing that I'm still trying to overcome, because I would get in my little car and go. Yeah. Like I drive to Atlanta like at least twice a month. I'm going around town. I want to see. I'm curious. I want to meet different people. So I haven't yet figured out how to overcome that. But another thing that I've heard is, folks really don't, get out and meet new people. Like their clique is their clique. Who they're with is who they're with. Their family is their family, and they're just like, and they might be curious, but I don't think they're really committed to be social and try new things, which is a huge culture shock for me. DC is very much a melting pot, very social. You do not have to convince nobody to have a good time. It's very rare. And I've also seen that it's mostly the folks that I've been able to connect with and hang out with just a little bit, to the extent that I'm able to. They're not originally from here. So it's like, oh, is this how this is gonna work? Okay, I guess I gotta get what I can get. It's all good. But yeah, those are two major things that I've noticed so far.
You bring up a very important point. And that's a theme that, as I'm doing these interviews, that I keep hearing about Jacksonville. It's like, there are so many things to do in Jacksonville. People are, there's nothing to do in Jacksonville. Actually, there kind of is. Like Jacksonville, if you're paying attention, there's a lot to do here. However, people stay with their people, and that doesn't build community. You know what I mean? That doesn't build like a larger community, a community feeling,
No.
And so I really do, especially with all the things that are coming to the city, I'm really hoping that is something that we as a community at large start working on, is just that mutual, like, hello, how are you?
Right.
Like, developing that, and being less because I feel like we're openly, like, we can be openly friendly at
Mm-hmm.
times, but
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't connect. Like you're talking about going to church,
Yes.
and it's
Yes.
like, okay,
Yes.
great. Hey, they
Yes.
probably were like, oh, turn around, greet your neighbor, whatever. But then when it was time to go, it was time to go. There
Yeah.
was nothing at the end to be like, hey, if you're new and you want to, like, get a slice of pizza and like a drink or
Right.
something like that,
Yeah.
just come
Yeah.
on
Just
over to
come
the
on over. Let's do
table.
this.
Yeah, so I think that we have so many
Okay.
opportunities, and that is a recurring theme in the city. So
Mm.
another thing that came up was volunteerism. Like, how do
Yes.
you get people together to regularly volunteer? Like, we all
Yeah.
know that we can go here to
Yes.
this hub, and then we can sign up for
Yes.
volunteer opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
Things like
Mm-hmm.
that don't
Mm-hmm.
exist, but those are the things that we need
Yes.
in order to really connect
That's a
people.
really interesting point. Like I volunteered a couple times at one of the food banks
Oh,
here.
wow.
Yeah, had a really
Awesome.
great experience. But again, it's the same thing. It's just like, well, you're in, you're out.
Yeah. Bye.
And we have great dialogue there. Then I leave, and I'm like,
right.
I
Friends.
want to be friends. And it's like you ask, so will you be here next week? And they're like, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, oh.
Okay, I guess this was fake.
Right.
No, just kidding. I'm kidding. Oh my God.
But yeah, it's like sometimes, honestly, that accountability of being committed with a community to know, because we get, I know I get lazy. I'm just going to admit I get lazy, and I have it in my heart to give back and be consistent. I'm not consistent on even working out for myself. So just, so that's what I was hoping for. Maybe I can make a friend, maybe I can make a connection, and then we'll see you next week. It'll be that kind of thing to keep us going with that volunteerism, like you said. It's such a win-win. Even if it just stays there, we don't have to hang out anywhere else.
Right.
But at least that
this is our thing. We do this. This is our crew. Yes, exactly.
So that's something that I will hope to build. And if I don't see it, I always in my mind I'm going to build it. If I don't see it, if I'm looking, I'm asking, and it ain't there, then I'm gonna figure out how to make it happen, because it's a need. I want it, so somebody else must want it too.
Yeah. I cannot be the only one.
Yes,
that's
I can't be the only one. Yeah.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then what are some like exciting things that you think are in Jacksonville's future? Like, where do you think you see the city in like 5 years or so?
There's a lot of opportunity here. It's a lot. It's a beautiful, beautiful, huge landmass of city. And so there's constant, I can see that money is flowing in here. I can see that there is a influx of out-of-towners coming in. I can see that the young people, they're everywhere. Where I live is in I was like, whoa, I feel really old.
Right.
Like
these in some cases, it's like, oh my gosh, you were wearing shorts with no cellulite? Oh, I don't know what to do with that.
I know what to do with that information. I'm clearly in the wrong place. So, but it's very refreshing, because it means that things are moving and shaking, and there could be a future here. So I haven't been around long enough to see exactly like even politically, or for African Americans, like where things can possibly go. I know there's a lot of opportunity here for a lot of change, but I'm open to continuing to learn about Jacksonville and see how I can take part in the change. So yeah.
Very, very good.
Yeah.
Now, what would you tell somebody who is coming to Jacksonville for the first time, sight unseen?
Yeah.
They want to come here and live because the housing prices haven't gone well. I mean, we'll pretend that they were what they were before, the pandemic. What would you tell somebody?
Well, I think just be willing to it depends on what part of the country they're coming into, if this will be a culture shock for them or not. But just be willing to be proactive, like I mentioned before, and truly explore the city. Like just the little bit that I've been able to do, there's so much variety. And but it's not going to come, it's not going to knock on your door. So you're going to have to be very super curious, drive around, ask questions, just do some searches, spend some time figuring things out. And yeah, I think it'll be well worth it. I think there's something for everybody here.
Wonderful. Do you have any parting words for anybody who's watching our lovely podcast?
Yes. Embrace Jacksonville. Embrace it. You're here. If you're watching this, it's because you're curious about what it's like to be here. You're curious about what the experience will be like if you're wanting to move here. I didn't have any problems. I'm a little bit of an adventurous person. I didn't have any anxiety or angst in moving here, even with the research that I did, without having seen the place. But if you want, you can always, visit and get to know people before you move. But it's very important for you to embrace wherever you're at and be active. Be very active in the community.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. So there are some things here. I feel like, again, like the recurring themes, about openness. Like that's one of the things that you're saying is if you come here, understand, especially if you're coming from a different part of the country, it is different. You hear the stories about Florida, they're likely true.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of good in this city.
Yes.
And honestly, like Nikki said, you would kind of be coming in on a ground floor because there's like so much opportunity here,
Yeah.
and you'll meet fantastic people like Nikki, quite frankly. And I'll say, here's another thing. When you get here, just make sure, that you're doing what she said. And like when you're reaching out, it's not going to show up, in the UPS van at your door.
No.
Do what she's doing. Like, go explore, see the different parts of the city, and so I think that is phenomenal advice. Thank you so much,
No
Nikki.
problem. Thank you.
Yes, love it. It was such a good interview. It was so easy. Just so easy. Easy to talk to. Very easy to talk to. So, with that being said, I'm Shan. I go by Sunny. And now that you've met Nikki, you can always say hey. I love that hey that people put at the end, like, hey! Thanks so much for listening to the Say Hey Jax podcast. Got something to say? Email us at heythere@sayheyjax.com. Like, share, subscribe.